What's going on? It's yours truly, Mr.Taliaferro TV, as we head towards the playoffs. Last night, the Boston Celtics pulled off a very impressive 20-piece, 30-piece almost of the Golden State Warriors in Golden State. I know the Warriors without the services of Klay Thompson last night, but they still got a lot of talent on the court. They're still the two-time defending NBA champions, and you expect them to come to play and compete more than they did against Boston, that really dominated them throughout the game. Now, we can talk about the Warriors all day. At the end of the day, they're still the #1 seed in the Western Conference. They're the favorites to win it all. Let's shift over to Boston, though, a team that's been in the news a lot. Them alongside the Los Angeles Lakers, they pretty much took up most of the headlines for the last couple months. Are they going to make it to the finals? Are they going to come into the playoffs with some momentum? Is Kyrie leaving? All these headlines that we got going. Anthony Davis, will he be a Celtic this summer? Now, you've seen raw emotion from that Boston Celtics team last night after they got a big-time win. They had been struggling. They were like 1-6, 1-7 in the last 7-8 games that Kyrie Irving played in, and like 6-0 in the last 6 games that Kyrie Irving did not play in. A lot of people saying, yo, we obviously understand that Kyrie's a top 10 talent in the league, but both could be true. He could be a great talent, but the Celtics could also be better off playing team ball without him, right? No matter if he's averaging a career high in assists, it could be one of those ball dominant things where it's Kyrie dribble. I have nowhere else to go, then I make a play for others. Kind of like how Russell Westbrook was a couple years back. Now, in my heart of hearts, I believe Boston is the most equipped team in the Eastern Conference to beat the Golden State Warriors if they did face off in the finals. So last night's win didn't shock me by any means. But I've consistently said I don't believe the Celtics have what it takes to get out of the Eastern Conference. We will see. Time will tell. Kyrie Irving, kind of wishy-washy with the media nowadays. He's been consistent in his approach, saying playoffs. I just can't wait to the playoffs. I'm tired of the media. I'm just ready to get to the playoffs. I don't believe anybody can beat us in a 7-game series. Why does a win like that for the Celtics mean so much to them over the Warriors? Why do they need it? Because overall this season has pretty much underwhelmed in regards to expectations. A team with that much talent, a top 10 talent at point guard, an all-star level guy in Gordon Hayward, or used to be an all-star level guy, and a lot of good talent with the potential to be great. Why did a win like that against the Warriors mean so much to them? Because they struggled, and people deserve blame. So right now, I'm going to give you 5 people that I put up front why the Boston Celtics have struggled so much throughout this season. At number 5, I'm going to start with Danny Ainge, the VP of the team. Now, Danny Ainge deserves a lot of credit for having the ability to scope out talent and to be able to see these picks like Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. He could have got it wrong, like the Lakers. I say they pretty much got it wrong over the last few years in the draft. Atop the draft, the Lonzo pick, the Brandon Ingram pick. You know, you can say Philly's got it wrong a couple times with Markelle Fultz, maybe even Dario Saric if you expect him to be a star. Minnesota's got it wrong. They picked Ricky Rubio and Johnny Flynn over Steph Curry. But let's give Danny Ainge some credit. He has been great at finding talent for Boston, right? He's been able to find guys like a Terry Rozier that can ball. He's been able to acquire Marcus Morris. He drafted Marcus Smart, who plays hard as well. He's got a lot of talent on that Boston Celtics team. And I'm starting to question, do these pieces mesh well? Yo, Danny, you gave Gordon Hayward a lot of money. He's making over $30 million to be exact. I know you couldn't predict in the future that Gordon Hayward would get injured. But I will say this, Danny. It was part your decision. You and Brad Stevens, y'all got together and said, yo, we need to play Gordon Hayward 25 minutes this year, coming off a season in which you guys gave Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, y'all gave them the wheel and let them drive, right? And Terry Rozier. Now you implement Gordon Hayward back in his lineup. 25 minutes might be a lot for a guy who's averaging like 11 points this year on 3 for 9 shooting. I got to give Danny Ainge some blame for putting this team together that might be so good with picks. You might have overdid it with young talent and not put enough talent that's like veteran savvy and enough to actually win something here. You put too many guys that competing for the same spots around each other. Danny Ainge is number 5. And number 4, I'm going to give Kyrie Irving some blame. A lot of people will have Kyrie Irving higher on their list. I don't, because at the end of the day, Kyrie Irving is balling out. He's having a career year statistically. And I'm going to give this dude the benefit of the doubt. As long as he can get to the playoffs healthy, probably the clutchest player in the NBA. The guy you want with the ball in his hands with under 24 seconds to go in the game. We've seen time and time again, he's deadly. He's got ice in his veins. The only thing with Kyrie Irving that I question is his leadership capabilities. His the way he's kept this team together or not kept this team together, right? I don't believe he's been the greatest of leaders. And I have to give him a little bit of blame because Kyrie Irving, you wanted a trade out of Cleveland. You were the number 2 to LeBron. You guys had made the finals 3 straight years. You had everything in play to make it for a 4th straight year. Hell, without you, LeBron made the finals anyway, right? You wanted to leave being a number 2 in Cleveland and to be the guy. Mind you, a lot of people don't talk about this. It wasn't like Boston was on his list. Kyrie didn't even think Boston was a possibility because they were an Eastern Conference rival. When he demanded a trade out of Cleveland, the teams that were on his short list were reportedly the New York Knicks, the Brooklyn Nets, the Phoenix Suns, the San Antonio Spurs. You know, most of those situations are not great right now, man, and maybe the Miami Heat as well. Most of those situations are not great, Kyrie. You lucked up and got on Boston with a team that had a lot of young talent and had this financial capabilities to go get Gordon Hayward. Just put it out in the atmosphere, Kyrie. It could be worse. You know, if you were playing for a bottom feeder team, you wanted to be the guy. You wanted a new start to your career. And it doesn't look like you're handling being the number 1 the greatest. You got enough talent to be better than a 5 seed. When I'm looking at the Indiana Pacers find ways to still maintain a 3 or 4 seed without their guy Victor Oladipo. At number 3, I'm going Al Horford. I'm not putting Kyrie over Al Horford in regards to this. Kyrie balls out. Al Horford kind of goes under the rug. He's making great money, top of the line money in this league. Doesn't get a lot of blame. Also, if I'm going to question Kyrie's leader capabilities, I don't see it in Al Horford either. What is Al Horford when you think about it? Consistent. But sometimes you don't need consistent. You need to see that the guy's upset. You need to see that a guy cares, right? I look at that Boston Celtics team a lot of times on that bench. I'm thinking to myself, wow, the emotional leaders of this team are the Marcuses, Marcus Morris and Marcus Smart, right? Well, Al Horford is the guy making the big-time bucks. He's the all-star level guy. As of last year, he was on the all-star team pretty much consistently. He deserves blame. It's easy to blame Kyrie Irving because he's the most popular guy on the team, probably their best player. But, yo, when Al Horford's giving you like 12 points and 4 rebounds and, you know, we don't even call his name night in, night out, how does he avoid blame? When Boston got Al Horford before Gordon and Kyrie, that was a big deal. Expectations need to be high on him coming from Atlanta to Boston. We thought this could be a guy that could put them over the hump once they got other pieces. He has not lived up to those expectations consistently, in my opinion. At number 2, I got Gordon Hayward. I'm going to just be honest with you, fam. You were brought in to be a sidekick to Kyrie Irving. I am watching the Boston Celtics body language towards you. Now, here's what would throw you off. If you watch that Celtics bench, when Gordon Hayward scores, when he makes a dunk, it's not like they're mad at him or they're frustrated when he goes out and have bad performances. He's at that level that you don't want to be at as an NBA player. Trust me, as I played basketball, obviously not at an NBA level. When I played basketball, I was at this point a lot when I touched the court. He's at that it's so bad I got sympathy stage in his career. That is probably the worst stage to be on a basketball court. What do you mean by that, Taliaferro? Gordon Hayward he's been so bad, and guys are rooting for him, even on that Celtics team. Guys that are competing for him for minutes, right? He's been so bad coming off of that injury, and it was a horrific injury, right? He's been so bad, he's at the point where guys are just happy to see him put the ball through the basket. They're happy for him. You don't want to be there. Like, when I scored on a basketball court, everybody cheered for me, right? Because he doesn't score often. He doesn't get buckets often. He plays hard. We're just happy for him. We're rooting for him. Everybody would cheer when I scored. That is one of the most embarrassing places to be on the court because people know you're not good. Giving you $31 million a year, Gordon Hayward, you got to give me more than 11 points per game. The impact is not there. I'm giving you 20, more than the money that I'm giving you 25 minutes a game. And I got young guys like Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, and hell, if you want to put Marcus Morris at the 3, he can't play that. I got these young guys that want your minutes. So more than the money right now, that'll be a big deal after this year. Right now, I'm giving you these minutes. So you're hurting my cap. That's one thing, right? But this minutes could potentially hurt my future. Not only am I putting the ball in your hands in the fourth quarter, I'm also taking the ball, more importantly, out of Jason Tatum's hands, and for sure, out of Jaylen Brown and Marcus Smart hands. If you look at Gordon Hayward's injury, I compare it to Paul George's, right? It took Paul George, and he'll admit this, at least a good year or two to come back from that horrific leg injury and get back to being his normal all-star self. I'm looking at Gordon Hayward, and I'll say this. Maybe it will take you a year or two to get back to that level. The difference between Paul George and Gordon Hayward is his team has championship expectations right now, or at least finals expectations. And right now, you got a bunch of guys who are looking to get paid in this league, looking at you, who's currently getting paid one of the highest salaries in the league, and they're frustrated, but they're masking it with happiness for you because you probably are a really good guy and could go for a gamer if you're wearing like 6'5", 6'6". Now, the number one person that I have blamed for in this Boston Celtics bust of the season has to be the head coach, Brad Stevens. I mean, gosh, we've talked about all these talented guys from Kyrie, Al Horford, Gordon Hayward. We mentioned Terry Rozier, Marcus Smart, Marcus Morris. Aaron Baines is talented. The list goes on and on for this Boston Celtics team. Well, there's one guy that puts all of these pieces, all of these different food items into this gumbo, and it's got to taste good. We're in Mardi Gras season. All of this has to mesh. This gumbo has to be phenomenal. Brad Stevens, he has not successfully fulfilled the role as head coach of this Boston Celtics team. Over the last few years, we've bragged about Brad Stevens being a young, good head coach in this league. We bragged about he's been able to get the best out of the Celtics when they didn't have a lot. Even during their struggling years, right? Their rebuild years after the Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce era. Brad Stevens was able to take care of on the court, right? So Danny Ainge could kind of figure out behind the scenes, right? The Celtics exceeded expectations to the point where Danny Ainge had to find ways to get others' teams' picks to compensate for the fact that a Celtics team that should be bad was still finding ways out to be better than what we thought they'd be. Maxing out guys like Isaiah Thomas. We gave Brad Stevens all the credit in the world for that. If we gave him all the credit in the world when things were going good, we got to give him all the credit in the world when things are not going as well, right? I got to give Brad some blame. A lot of people don Brad Stevens the best coach in the league outside of Greg Popovich. Whoa, hold your horses. I think he's a young, great mind, but we do have to start to ask that question. Is this guy, because of his Butler background, just great at getting the most out of talents that don't meet the star level? Can he coach a star like a Kyrie Irving? Can he find ways to get the best out of Gordon Hayward, not at Butler, but right now at this point in his career when expectations are a little bit higher? What are you going to do with Marcus Morris and Jaylen Brown, who've been getting into it? How do you keep Jason Tatum afloat when you know he believes he's a star in this league, right? Right now, I got to give Brad Stevens some blame. He's got to be number one on this list. I reserve the right to move him around depending on the Celtics season, because I will say this, it's not Brad Stevens' fault last year that Kyrie Irving went down with an injury, that Gordon Hayward went down with an injury. I mean, hell, the greatest coaching I've seen in quite some time came out of Brad Stevens. He found a way to still, with a young team, without their two all-stars, he still found a way to get the most out of that Celtics team, and they still found themselves 48 minutes away from making it to the NBA Finals. So I got the right to move Brad Stevens down on this list. It looks like the Celtics are going to enter the playoffs healthy, knock on wood. And It's time for Brad Stevens to show what a lot of people think about him, that he is one of the great young minds in basketball. But for now, he ain't gotten the best out of that Celtics team this year, and he's my number one guy why the Boston Celtics have struggled this season. His expectations got to be high, if not higher than what we expected of players. So far, he has not done that. Where do you guys think the Boston Celtics will end up at season end? Talk to me in the comment box below. Do you guys think this team still has the capabilities to make the NBA Finals? And if they get to the Finals, do you believe they're the team out of the Eastern Conference that's best equipped to give the Golden State Warriors a run for their money? I'm out.